All right.
Hey, welcome to Linking into Sales. This is Martin Brosman.
I'm Greg Heyer.
And I'm Elise Archer.
All right. Hey, so thank you, everybody, for listening to episode 100. That was a little bit longer than usual of an episode, but I think it was a great review. Now that we've had episode 100 behind us, we're now at episode 101, and the 100s are nothing but forward for us, right?
That's correct. It was exciting. Great job. And it was really tough to pick out 2 out of 100 shows each.
Exactly. Or what?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear us? There we are. We're still talking. Okay, good. Martin here's all messing around with the microphone. So we have just a couple little things we want to talk about today to kind of open up talking about the news. And we have an amazing guest who has joined us today to talk about creating amazing Q4 buying experiences. He has a tremendous amount of experience in that, but we'll talk about our guest in just a moment. But first, let's get into some quick social selling news. First, Twitter. We know all of you out there love to use Twitter, and you tweet at us all the time. Hint, hint. But you should definitely check out this new feature on Twitter that you are able to contribute to. If you haven't seen it already, it's called Twitter Moments. Sometimes it's really great to actually check out what is trending right now on Twitter. For example, yesterday there was a terrible train crash that happened in Hoboken, New Jersey. I got a news alert for it, and the first place I went to was Twitter just to kind of check it out and see what was happening. ABC actually had a report up there about it, so we got to kind of see what was going on. But now you can actually, from the desktop app of Twitter, so you actually have to log into twitter.com on your laptop or your desktop, and you can actually create moments and share them. So give me kind of an example of how you can benefit from this. What if you're at a conference and you want to create a moment of you got a chance to talk with a keynote speaker or a presenter, or maybe somebody who's at this company that you've been wanting to meet with, and you create a Twitter moment. I think if you use this possibly as a way to create a kind of a cool experience with the folks that you're meeting at conferences or events, or maybe you got your own company's doing user conference or something like that. Maybe a new customer came on board. Might be a really great way to use Twitter, just kind of make that moment just a little bit more special, right? What do you guys think?
I think it's exciting. I think the big thing to get with moments is it's breaking news. So it's the breaking news of the real news and the hearsay, both of which you need to pay attention to. What I do is I watch it and see the news break there, and then see the real news try to catch up with it. So that's, to me, the biggest thing is it's a great way to keep up with what's going on. If there's a disaster, I'm going there first or checking in. So the fact it's letting us contribute really opens up, and I hope we can do more and maybe do an article on something like that. Sales would be good.
Yeah. What do you think, Elise?
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting that the thing that stands out is like each social media platform is now offering live streaming, right? At least all the major ones. And so the question now becomes, how do you decide what to stream where? And I can see that feeling a little bit overwhelming to some people. So I think it's just about, what's appropriate for Instagram? What do you want to broadcast on Facebook? What do you want to do on YouTube Live? Now, what do you want to do on Twitter? And just thinking about who's your audience there to decide where you're going to do that live moment. Because we can pretty much broadcast our entire lives live anywhere now.
That's great.
Good and overwhelming.
that is true. Even for us, with this podcast, sometimes when we're having discussions off the show, try to figure out what can we do with Periscope? What can we do with what can we do with Moments? And what can we do on YouTube? And all these platforms, there's a lot of good stuff, but what do we have time for, and where's our audience actually? So I think from a social selling standpoint, just be a little discerning and trying to figure out, can you actually use this? Moments might be a good feature to use as a user, but definitely try to figure out whether or not it's worth spending your time there. All right, next little bit of news. This is kind of a little fun because it happens to be of the season. Presidential debates were just a couple nights ago.
Yep.
Now you're probably listening to the show a couple of weeks after the debates have happened, but there was a lot of fun that was happening with Snapchat. And I actually wrote an article that's up on my blog at gregheyer.com about using Snapchat filters. And this one was just so appropriate. I had to share it because it's another way in which you can drive engagement. I don't know if you noticed this, but maybe in your Facebook stream, you all of a sudden started seeing pictures of people sharing the side-by-sides of Trump and Clinton, and they look like puppies.
Right, I saw that one. And the weirdest is switching faces. That was creepy.
That
was beyond normal creepy for me.
Very much.
I had nightmares over that.
If you haven't checked out Snapchat, go get your kid's phone and then start looking at how you can do face swap and use these kind of really cool lenses and filters in order to create really cool things that content you can kind of share just to have a little bit of fun. I think this was one of those that it caught a lot of attention because Fox Business was actually writing about it. So I'll put a link to the show notes in there. So, Elise, do you use Snapchat?
This is embarrassing. The only person who I ever Snapchat with is my dad.
Oh, nice.
I'm like such an old fart. Yeah, it's really bad because he likes the face swap. He finds it hilarious. So
that's cool. We like him.
We do like him. He's a big nerd like me. But
I love it. Well, tell him he raised you well. So to be a good super nerd.
That's up to opinion, but I'll let him know.
I did face swap with my oldest daughter who's 13, and it was very weird to see my face on her face with a beard. So
Can we move on? I'm gonna have more nightmares,
please. All right. So anyways, check out Snapchat. I'll put a link to my article as well. Snapchat, you actually use geofences to kind of that makes a filter appear within a specific geographic area. It can be really cool to use to capture moments and get your customers to welcome the brand into that particular moment. Another piece of news real quick is about Salesforce trying to block Microsoft's acquisition of LinkedIn. This is kind of new development. I know Salesforce is a little sour about Microsoft buying it because Microsoft, in a way, is a competitor of Salesforce with Microsoft Dynamics, which is a CRM platform Microsoft has. Basically, the response from Microsoft is that, well, Salesforce, the U.S. has approved it, Brazil has approved it, Canada has approved it. We're just waiting for the EU to come through. And what Benhoff and team are trying to do is actually get the EU to block this. And we know how much the EU loves Microsoft. We know how much they love Google. They're antitrust everything. So they're going to look at it. They're going to just kind of try to figure out if there's an opportunity to block it. I don't know, guys. What do you think? You think it's going to go through?
I think it's going to go through. I think it's not enough competition, and I think Salesforce needs to figure out how they can compete and get on something. Maybe they need to buy Twitter and get over it.
Which is another really good point because they were talking about this on the Content Marketing Institute podcast, This Old Marketing. And actually Jay Baer, they mentioned Jay Baer, who has the Convince and Convert podcast, actually kind of talked about why Salesforce would be interested in buying Twitter. And it's because of its end-to-end service. So you have sales, marketing, and customer service that Twitter can solve. This is kind of why that it kind of makes sense for Salesforce to buy it. But then again, there's an argument that says Disney would probably want to buy it. And at least we heard last time you said you'd love to see mouse ears on your Twitter.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of interesting too. And while it may not make sense for Disney to buy Twitter, it actually kind of does because they're in the entertainment business.
Yeah.
And they're a giant media conglomerate. I mean, it's not just Disney World. It's it's ESPN, it's ABC, it's a whole bunch of different things. Pixar as well. Why not add Twitter to it and bring the entertainment-esque basically out of Twitter, which is a lot of people do use it for that. So,
let's go.
All right. So. All right, let's go ahead and introduce our guest. Our guest today.
One more. Our sponsor.
Oh, that's right.
Our sponsor is NC State Technology Training Solutions, the resource for training in the Triangle area for businesses from Excel training to LinkedIn and social selling to social media management to podcasting to analytics. You got it. Where can they find it?
They can actually go out to linkinginto.sales.com/NCSUTTS. That's linkinginto.sales.com NCSU. TTS and linkinginto.sales.com/NCSUTTS. We know that most of you have actually gone out and checked it out and taken some classes with them. So thank you very much for doing that. But please support our sponsor. They're a fantastic group. Martin and I both teach there and have a great time working with professionals that want to take and step up their game and learn new skills, which we talk about all the time in this economy, right?
And along with skills, we still are offering free the LinkedIn profile and the Twitter profile, and we'll mention it more at the end of the show, but don't miss that opportunity to sign up for it.
All right.
Let's talk about our great guest, Matt. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Matt, I'm going to mess. Go ahead, say your last name for me. I'm sorry.
It's Ruedlinger.
Ruedlinger.
Matt Ruedlinger.
Ruedlinger.
He actually hails from the Bloomington, Indiana area. He is the founder and CEO of a marketing firm called Triple R Marketing. Matt has been described as a highly creative as an unparalleled understanding of service. Hopefully I said that right.
I think you got
with over 20 years of experience in sales and marketing, Matt has helped small local businesses and brand name Fortune 500 companies alike basically become leaders in their particular industry. He has worked alongside world-renowned author and sales expert Jeffrey Gitomer, who actually, if you aren't familiar with Jeffrey, I'm very surprised, but he wrote the Little Red Book and Little Black Book of Sales and has a number of really good books too. He's actually in Charlotte, so not too far from here. Matt has also helped businesses promote their products at high-profile events such as the Sport Emmy Awards. Matt's vision for Triple R Marketing is key to his core belief and operating principles, driving him to create distinguished customer experiences, which is why we wanted to talk to him today. So welcome to the show, Matt, and thank you for joining us. Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here. I have to tell you, I love the whole Snapchat conversation because I had the same thing with my daughter, and once she did this face swapping, I said, delete that right now.
We didn't save ours either, so.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
We don't need more nightmares.
We won't tell you about how Martin and I swapped faces either.
Yeah, that was really scary.
That was not pretty. Because,
and I really don't need to have chiclets pouring out of my mouth like those. I still think I'm showing up as pretty old school now. It's dating me, but I'm learning it. Anyway,
so Matt, well, actually, why don't you go ahead and tell us? I read your bio, but why don't you go ahead and give us a quick little tidbit about yourself and how you kind of got to where you are today.
Well, my background before I started business was I was in plumbing sales. Believe it or not, a lot of glory in that industry. Of course, it's always downhill. They say, no pun intended. But I worked for a company for about 10 years and grew the commercial sector of the business and grew it to a pretty large amount. And the company got bought out, so it seemed the right time. I've always wanted to have my own business, and I took the skills that I had in working with customers, building relationships, and then my background in graphics and marketing, and started the business. And that was actually 11 years ago yesterday.
Happy anniversary!
Congrats!
Yeah.
That's exciting. I just want to tell you, I personally have a huge passion for, in alignment with you, the customer experience. And in IBM, I used to tell them I wanted to be sent in to the screaming customer because I knew that was the real opportunity to win. And I was known as the guy who went into screaming customers. And they would literally yell at me. And, I realized this is a gateway to trust. And so I really am a kindred spirits in your passion of that. And it's how we become more than a commodity as well in what we have to offer.
Absolutely. I mean, especially today, even as time evolves and we're so technology driven and we're so efficient with our time that having experience is key for any business to stand out from all the noise. I mean, you're talking about getting acknowledged online, you're competing against family and friends. So, you better be able to provide some experiences so that your customers are talking about you so people will listen.
Exactly. Go ahead, Elise.
I'm just curious, Matt, how did customer experience become such an integral piece of your business? Like, at what point did you discover this is going to be one of the key things that differentiates me from everybody else?
Well, that was about Well, let me tell you a quick story about that. We also own a caramel making business, which is like really bizarre, right? But for like 4 or 5 years, we always sent our customers caramels on their birthdays. And I could show you hundreds of emails and phone calls. I could talk about phone calls we've got about customers saying, hey, we really appreciate that, you thought about us on a special day. So outside of providing great service and, the things that we do, we have that extra step in getting to know them a little more and thinking about them. And then that was kind of where we've seen so much positive feedback and growth in the company just from that little bit of that one thing that we did different than no one else was doing. And, that made us stand out from the rest. And, so that was really important for us on customer experience. And then last year, the lady that owned the business that we were buying the caramels from, she came to me and she was actually going to retire because her husband's retiring, and she was going to close the door. She was going to shut down the business. So I was like, okay, I need 25 pounds of caramels right now because, it's a key part of our business. And so we did that. And, I spent a couple months trying to find something that would replace not only the delicious caramels, but the way we worked together, because it was really unique in how I could send her the information that I need. We had a shared document, and she would just take care of it and made me look like a superstar. So that brought another element to our customer experience, because then the question becomes, all right, if you went to your customers and you said, hey, I'm closing my doors today, how are they going to react? If they're just going to be like, okay, well, I can just Google and replace you because there's nothing unique about you. Well, then now you're competing against pennies and dollars on all your bids, and there's nothing there that helps you withstand the storm, if you will. So it's fine. It was from what we had been doing, and then that pivot point to realize, hey, there's a reason for this, and how can we take this message to businesses that you need to have something that makes you stand out outside of your competition, and it's not through satisfaction, it's by creating experiences.
That is an incredible story. So you own the caramel business now, is that right?
We do. My wife makes them, and we also have another person that helps make them, and then our girls and their friends, they wrap them. But yeah, so we own, it's called Jones Caramels. And so now, we also take those caramels and implement them with businesses on creating experiences and ways to reach out to customers and create a connection with them outside of when they need to buy something or when you want them to buy something. So the caramels are a part of our marketing strategy now.
The other thing I love here is the fact of asking, if you told your customer you were leaving, would it cause a problem because your value to them was so great that they would have a loss? And I think what a great test to realize, to work with, and to go for as a goal for the customer experience, that you are so valuable to them that it would be a loss if you weren't there.
Absolutely. And the thing that we see that is unfortunate, that a lot of times businesses will measure satisfaction. Is the customer satisfied? Here's the thing. Satisfied customers are not going to tell stories. So, how are you creating an experience to where your customers are your cheerleaders? Because, bottom line is, if I sit here and tell you how great I am, you don't care. But now if somebody says, hey, this Matt guy, he's great. Well, now I have a whole other, you have a whole other respect for who I am. And it's no different for businesses, that they need to, there's a shift on the dollars spent on advertising versus the dollars spent on customer experiences. And I think you're going to see a huge shift on that, because businesses are realizing that the customer's in charge. And so what are you going to do? What can you do to create experiences so that they're telling their friends, their family, their coworkers about how great it is to work with you?
You know, I want to mention a quick story. One of the internet hosting providers used to have the best customer service, so I'd recommend them to clients. And then they shipped it overseas, and I don't mind overseas work if it's excellent, but it was sadly database readers who could barely speak English in noisy rooms. And what happened is I had customers literally yelling at me for referring them. I still have one hosting left there, and they're trying to win me back. And I go, you need to tell management. I made 3 attempts, if not 5, contacting them and going, it is making me look bad. And they ignored me. And now you want to win me back. You not only lost me, I've been warning people ever since. So, you know, this experience is it. And the current one of the internet providers I go, which has great service, I told them, the moment you drop it, I'm out of here, and I'm going to warn everyone of it. So you better tell management, I can talk to someone and get help. You kill that, and I'm gone. So, you know, this really reminds me of how a business can sink their boat by having good service and going bottom dollar on it. And the original one is actually more expensive than new one with good service for me. So, you know, I'm like, I'll come and help close your doors if you need the help. So, you know, and I don't forget it. When you recommend something and then they give a bad experience, it's hard to forget those things.
Sure, because you're putting your reputation on the line. And, you know, that's why it's so important for businesses not to just have that fluke experience, to create the customer journey mapping. And so that everybody on board, from the person who answers the phone to the person who's making delivery, is on the same page of what the experience is for the customer. So that's just not a one-time thing, because that's the worst, is that you have a great experience once, then you go back, now you're expecting it, and then they let you down. So, you know, you want to make sure that your experience is consistent. That's how you create the cheerleaders for you.
So tell us, as we move into Q4, which I understand is actually your Q1, which I think is cool. But as most of us are moving into our Q4, what would you say is it about this time of year? What do we need to do differently to leverage this time of year to create incredible customer experiences? How can we capitalize on the end of the year and the holidays and everything that we're about to roll into?
You know, this is a time where you could take your existing clients, for instance, and what if you hand wrote them a note saying, thank you for your business this year? I mean, it doesn't have to be something crazy, but it's so unique, because when's the last time you've got a handwritten note from somebody thanking them? It's kind of unique, right? But you could also create a program, not only for the fourth quarter, but something that could roll out through the year, on how can you create a really unique experience for your customers. You know, an example that I love to use is the car buying experience. If you go through the experience, you know, you have this emotional journey. You know, you're looking at the car, you're excited, and then you start looking at the finances, and it starts going a little more. I'll ask you, what do you think the 2 most low points of the process is when it comes to buying a car, if you're trading one in?
Negotiating the price.
Yes.
And finding how little money they're going to give you. Sorry, Greg, that's probably what you were going to say.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Exactly. Okay. So, and those are the exact 2 points that we use on our example. All right. There is a firm down in Texas that when you go to their website, you put it, their prices are as is. What you see is what you get. There's no haggling. And then they have a spot that says, send us a selfie of your car. You give them the information, and you plug in you send the pictures, you plug it all in. They tell you, unless you know you're sending some bogus pictures or something, they tell you right there what the trade-in value is. And I know many people have drove down to Texas to get their vehicle, because they took the two most low points of the process where it's not fun, and they made it an experience. And so, you know, look at your customers and see where's the low point in the process of whatever it is you do in your industry, and how can you make that better? How can you be the best? And how can you fix it? You know, those are ways to really create experiences, because now you're doing something different.
This is excellent, because you can map out the buyer's journey, and then you find out what are the high points and others. And this is also causing you to walk through their experience of buying from you. And I could see this as a great rapport building to say, hey, could I take you out to lunch? And I'd like to find out your views of, we're analyzing how to enhance our buyer's experience. What is the biggest pain in interacting with someone like us? And I think they'd be complimented to tell you this. I love this piece of it. And then how do you not just make it better, how you make it enjoyable is what I hear. So what a fantastic piece, reminder of what to do.
Yeah, it's an ongoing thing, so you definitely want your customers involved in the mapping process. You want everybody involved into it. So, you're getting different angles and different views of things. But, there's oodles of types of customer journey mapping out there. But, if you just take every segment of the process of whatever it is you have, line it up, and you can use smiley faces and regular faces and frown faces. And then where those frown faces are at, you've got to figure out a way to change that. And that's always, so you've got the journey, the experience of the process, but then you've got after the sale as well. And I think that's where a lot of businesses miss. They're worried. It's always great creating that experience, but what do you do after the sale as well? Because we all want to be remembered, right? We all want to feel special. So that's the part where you create that customer advocacy, where they're going to really become their, sure, they're going to talk about their experience, but again, the car dealership thing, wouldn't it be nice if they called you after 30 days? Are you happy with your car? How do you feel about it after a month? How do you feel after about 6 months? Hey, it's been a year. Are you still loving that car? It's been 2 years. Are you still loving that car? Hey, remember you came in a year ago. We just want you to remember. We still remember you. If they could just, I'm not picking on the car industry, but they're just a great model that everybody can go off of. But if the business would do the same thing in reaching out and creating that relationship outside of just when you're needed, it makes you separate from everybody else. It really makes a big difference. It differentiates you dramatically against your competition.
I would think now, not that I have much experience with the car industry. I own a couple of cars, and yes, I've sat in the finance room for a couple hours trying to finish paperwork. It's the most painful part of everything. But I think that if a dealer was going to call me to find out how I like the car, I'd appreciate it if they didn't try to pitch me on bringing in the car for maintenance, but rather just call up and say, hey, just, I want to find out how the car is going. It is an upsell opportunity for them to do it. And obviously they're going to want every single action that they take to be tied back to revenue in some way. Right. And there has to be a direct it seems like it has to be a direct one-to-one for car dealers in particular. But do you think that there's a way to change that, or do you think that there are dealers out there who do change that experience?
I think they're putting values on everything you do, but the bottom line is, I'm going to want to deal with my friends before I am anyone else, right? And the more that you get to know me, and the more that I get to know you on a personal level, a little bit about you, and you learn more about me, I'm going to be a lot more at ease on coming to you the next time that I'm looking to buy a vehicle. And I'm going to feel a lot more comfortable referring people to you because I know you more than just the car dealership, or I know you as the marketing person, or I know you as the accountant. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. The more that I know about you and can build that, it really makes it easier for me. Like I said, that's the referral side's a big part of it. It makes it easier for me to refer people to you when opportunities come up as well. So I think, you've got to, everything is not going to have exact dollar value on it, but you're trying to cut through this noise of all this advertising that we're blasted with, like, no matter everywhere you go and online. How are you going to cut through that? And I think that's by getting your customers to be your cheerleaders for your business.
Okay. So do you think with regards to Q4, you've talked about, creating, incredible experiences and things like that, and using your customers to refer. So as far as like in Q4, we're also trying to, get a bunch of business in before the end of the year. We want to, kind of fill up the, it's kind of like, maybe Q4 is like Black Friday for most salespeople. It's like they're trying to bring in as much as possible in that revenue, as far as revenue goes. So do you think that there's a way for them to use customers to hopefully amp up the referral side of the business to be able to bring in more customers. Have you seen anything like this?
Yeah. So I mean, if you're talking about Q4, I think if you're worried about Q4 now, you probably should have thought about it during Q3. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's the honest truth about it, because there's building relationships to get those sales, increase sales, is a process. And, outside of throwing out some crazy pricing and I guess, and grabbing people in, building relationship is a process. So Q4 could be the start of building relationships. And, that's, to kind of take it into the next year. And you'll find that you'll still get some sales through this quarter, but it's a process. So you're coming up, create your mapping and your plan on how you're going to connect with clients and provide value to them. So maybe you start providing value and you have some customers that you're really close with. Ask them if they would refer somebody to you, and thank them. Maybe to create a referral program for passing along your information. So, I mean, there's some things that you could do to really ramp up the fourth quarter. It would probably take your strong connection that you have and kind of branch off that. Like I said, give someone a gift card for a referral, someone buys something. I mean, something like that. Those are kind of neat things. But as far as creating those solid relationships, I mean, it's a process. But fourth quarter is a great time to start.
Well, also what I hear here is the importance of appreciation in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, this is like everybody's kind of in that holiday, getting around that holiday mode, and everybody is, this is where they usually will thank their customers. So yeah, I mean, this is a great time to do that, and like I said, maybe try something unique. Like I said, even a handwritten card, which you never see anymore, could be something that you could do. Something you could do is if you got a close group, start a group, and where people can join and try to help each other out with their sales and helping each other grow. So that might be another way that you could provide some value to customers during the fourth quarter. I mean, so there's a lot of ways that you could do some things like that.
Excellent. So I think, Elise, you had one last question there.
Yeah. I think one of the things that really stood out when I was looking at your LinkedIn is that with Triple R Marketing, and tell me if I'm getting this right, you guys have retained over 96% of your customers since 2005.
Yes.
Is that right? That's incredible.
Yep.
That is so rare and so exceptional. So the thing that it has me wondering is, outside of all these incredible things that you shared about, just making great customer experiences, is there anything else when it comes to retention that we haven't talked about that you feel has contributed to that crazy high retention rate?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously you have to have a great product or service. I mean, that's kind of a given anymore. If not, they're going to leave, So, but, one of the things is we're quick. When we get emails and we get calls, we are quick to reply. Even if we don't have the answer for them right away, we at least let them know that we've got it. They can expect an answer within a certain amount of time when we're going to get back with them. That has been huge. That is a major indicator, because we don't like to wait. So if someone sends you an email and you don't hear back from them or an hour or two, what do? You go to the next place, right? I mean, that's kind of where we're at. Our attention span is at 8 seconds right now, and it's getting shorter. So I would say, that's been probably one of our biggest factors in that. And then outside of just, providing results and everything that we do, we make sure that the customer's happy and that the products and the services that we are providing are to the best, the best out there. So outside of that, that's what I would truly implement with any business, is looking at the speed on how fast you're getting back to things.
Excellent. I love retention. I like looking at the financial number side of retention as well. Try to figure out from the P&L standpoint, how can you retain your customers better, looking at lifetime value and things like that. So, but it sounds like, from your perspective or from your approach, it's been, basically eliminate procrastination from your business. And it's a killer, right?
Oh, absolutely. If I'm the same way. If I if I'm reaching out to somebody to do business with them, I want an answer, and I want it now. And I realize that, I mean, that's how we are. And if you think your customers are not that way, you're wrong. And so you have to figure out a way that you can respond to that. Even if you don't have an answer, just at least acknowledge that you've got what they're looking for, and you're good, and give them a time frame on when to expect to get that answer, and make sure you answer it in that time that you give them that. It's not hard, but we're, like I said, we're, especially in this technology world that we're in, we're instant gratification. So
very true. Awesome. Well, let's go and wrap up here. You want to tell us, tell listeners exactly where can they connect with you, and where can they learn more about everything that you offer?
If they want to connect with me, they can connect with me on LinkedIn, obviously, right? Twitter, or they can email me. It's Matt, M-A-T-T, at tripplermarketing.com. It's TRIPLER marketing.com. Or just Google my name. You'll see a slew of information come up.
Very cool. Very good. Now, you had also, I guess there was some mention of a course that you have available over at Triple R. Is that up and ready?
Yeah, so the course is a program that we work through local chambers. It's called Launch. It's a 3-hour course, and we spend an hour talking to business about search engine optimization, making sure their websites are, that they understand what goes into making a website optimized for Google. We spend an hour talking about social media, and different platforms and where customers are at. And we talk about an hour about customer experience, and then how all this works together. So it's called Launch, and we work through the chambers, and they will invite the businesses in for the course.
Very cool. So is this something you could do online, or is it only available in Indiana?
Right now, it's just in Indiana. Okay. It's new. We've got a course up. We've got one coming up next week, and we got a couple more coming up our action this next month. So for right now, it's just in person, but hey, we'll travel.
There you go. Very cool. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And we'll put some, for everyone who's listening, we'll put some links in the show notes, so that way you can learn a little bit more and connect with Matt, as well as I'm going to probably put a link to one of the podcasts that he was on. I think it was a B2B growth podcast. So you can go ahead and check out that episode there as well. So thank you very much. So let's go ahead and move into our social selling tips and apps segment of the show. We have a couple things that we wanted to bring up here. First, Nimble 4.0. And while this isn't, this is news. I mean, it is news. I didn't want to put it up at the top of the show because there's some really, really cool features that they have rolled out. And you know that we have talked with John Ferrara of Nimble a couple times. He's actually going to be coming back on again before the end of the year. We're going to be talking with John again, but they've released Nimble 4.0. So if you would, go ahead and check that out. I'll put a link in the show notes. They've added some really, really cool features, right? So like the group email feature is fully fleshed out. They have an integration with Office 365. And if you aren't using Nimble for your own personal contact management, I would strongly recommend that you do. If there's anything that is the most powerful thing that a salesperson can absolutely have, especially a social seller, is going to be having their own golden Rolodex, right? Right, Martin?
Yep.
Right. So, in
fact, we have a show on it.
We do have a show on that one, and some pictures on Instagram from Nimble. So, I would definitely go in and take a look at Nimble. I have a link to the show notes, which actually talks about all the new features that Nimble is offering. Please go check that out. One quick tip, when you've heard us kind of talk about this on previous episodes, and that is sending private YouTube messages.
Mm-hmm.
We know this works.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you guys talk about this for just a second?
Well, it's Lisa's idea, and she's just about knocked it out of the park with it. But Elise told me about the value of sending a video message, and of course, then we realized there was someone we wanted to get on the show, the founder of Crystal Knows, and we had a few minutes while we were working on a project in the studio here, and I said, Elise, let's send him the message. And his response, he says, okay, I'm going to be on the show. And his whole team said, what do you say? Social sold. Social sold. So, Elise, you mentioned it briefly because I still think that's a great idea. And I'd even used it to harass you and Greg about giving out more of our cards.
Yeah.
This is, it's starting to work against us now, actually. Yeah, I mean, I think I just try to try whatever is new, and we'll see if it can work. Now, I don't know if I knew that you could send it privately on YouTube though. Like I'll send video messages and text them or email them, but you're saying you can do this directly on YouTube
Well, I think it's just more or
to
less.
someone you're following?
No, I'm sorry, and I guess a point of confusion there. Basically, what I mean is, taking it, locking it down, so that way it's unpublished, and the only people who can see it is who you share the link with.
And that's what we did with Crystal.
Right.
So,
yeah, absolutely. No, that's been a great way for me to get in touch with business owners who I haven't gotten a response from, because you're in their face, right?
Yeah.
They can't get away.
I think hopefully more and more salespeople will start using more and more video to do those kind of things. Because we've seen it work. It's a great tool. It'll work great. Another thing too is hashtags on LinkedIn Mobile. We're starting to see hashtags starting to appear. So definitely check this out. If you're sharing something on LinkedIn's mobile app, don't be afraid to include a hashtag. Go ahead and click on them too, because you might find a prospect or something like that you can reach out to. One last thing is stop being desperate, and don't reply with a pitch.
Oh, yes. And this is for people who work at LinkedIn also.
Yes. So I've had too many people who have sent an invite to connect. I check out the profile. I'm like, all right, yeah, this person's pretty cool. Maybe it might be a good connection. And then all of a sudden it's like, you need to join my mastermind group. We have fantastic people, and you could be really smart and rich too. I'm like, great.
No, I just have to say, if I get a third message from a LinkedIn employee with a pitch as his first introduction for their social selling platform tools, I'm going public with it, guys, just so you know. You can hire us to teach you social selling. Just a little bit of fun jab to my buddies at LinkedIn. Drink your own Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Oh, and for all those who are hitting on Elise every time that she connects with them.
Yeah, she's got brothers here. We're coming after you.
Love you guys.
Last thing, we've got a countdown for our free Twitter and LinkedIn.
No, Twitter and LinkedIn what?
I was finishing my sentence, Greg. Twitter and LinkedIn. He knows I'm dyslexic. It's all right. So Twitter and LinkedIn profile setup course. I mean, this is hundreds of dollars of our best stuff. It takes a little commitment because we gave us the best stuff. You can get it at socialselling.training till the end of the year. Then you can pay for it if you'd like to. So socialselling.training. And we have some other offers coming down the pike as well for those that sign up. We're not going to tell you all of them, but socialselling.training, sign up for it. LinkedIn and Twitter profile training, and I've been on it since 2004, and it's Greg and my's best stuff we have on how to optimize it to be a customer-facing profile. This is even relevant to people looking for jobs and other things.
Exactly. So be sure to go ahead and check that out. And we also have another course up there about creating a social selling routine. That one, there's a fee associated with it, and every course we're going to be putting out, it does. And our LinkedIn and Twitter training class, it's definitely worth having a fee on, but we want to push the conversation forward. But we're also going to be locking the gates at the end of the year. How do you get into this stuff? Well, go up to socialselling.training. If you want to take the social selling routine course and maybe you don't want to pay full price, then ask for a discount. Right.
I mean, like send a message to info@linkintosales.com, which will only be for a limited time.
That's right.
And we might see what happens.
That's right. So there's our pitch, and we're going to end it with that.
Yep.
Anyways. So
okay, wrapping up.
We've also got our call to action. Go out to socialselling.training and go ahead and put those courses in your cart, check out, and you'll be all set. And we'll teach you some really cool stuff.
So this is Martin Brossman.
I'm Greg Heyer.
And I'm Elise Archer.
And you've been watching the Linking Into Sales Social Selling Podcast, or the Social Selling Podcast by linkingintosales.com. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Google+, on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube. Get us on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play Music. Tune in and Player FM. We're everywhere you want to be. Have a great week.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.